Well, hi again, and welcome to the final edition of the Spike Ridgley Show for this season. Our show is being brought to you all season long by Reliable Heating and Cooling. I'm your host, Dave Sheets. Along with me is the manager of the Massillon Tiger baseball team, Spike Ridgley. Spike, welcome back to the show.
Happy to be here.
The Tigers saw their season come to an end last Thursday with an opening round tournament loss at Mayfield. The final score was 10-0. After a scoreless first inning, Mayfield put 6 runs on the board in the bottom of the second. That big inning certainly changed the complexion of that game, right?
Yeah, first of all, you got to tip your hat to Mayfield. I mean, they played a great game. They're very well coached. And, as far as we're concerned, we had some opportunities in that game. We had some chances to get off the field in that big inning, and we just didn't make it happen. Just a fefew plays that we feel like sometimes, we'd like to have back, obviously. But at the end of the day, they played a great game, and just they did a great job. So for us, we want to learn from that. We want to keep trying to grow and kind of take those lessons into next year.
I know your Tigers managed just 3 hits that day. Tell us more about the Mayfield starting pitcher.
Yeah, he had a good day. I thought we hit some balls hard. We didn't have anything to show for it. But again, we had a few opportunities. We had first and second, I think, with 2 outs, maybe in the top of the second inning. And we had good contact too, I believe, at the end of that inning. Just didn't get anything in. And then, when their inning went off, and when they were, I think it was a third, we just had a couple of chances. We had a little bit of a miscommunication where a ball, I think, was going to go through for an out at home. We cut that ball, which you're looking at 2 outs instead of 1, and there are things that we just need to work on and learn from and try and get better from. But I thought their pitcher he had a really nice game, but we did hit some balls on the screws. Sometimes you got to have a little bit of luck too, and we didn't.
What was your message to the team after that game?
Just that I appreciated them. I appreciated their hard work. I appreciated the effort that the guys gave this year, and we had a lot of new guys. On most days we had 3 freshmen in the lineup, and then even the guys. You look at it, we had juniors and even the seniors that played outside of Gavin. It was their first experience, so we were very inexperienced in most places other than center field, shortstop, and catcher. So I told them, I thought, we showed signs of being pretty good at times, and we're going to have most all these guys back, guys that were playing regularly. And so for us, going into next year is, how do we turn those good times into more consistent times? So I like the pieces that we have coming back for sure, and I showed a respect and appreciation for the guys that are moving on, because I thought that those guys were just incredible teammates, and really set the tone for the culture that we want to try and have. And they were that way no matter what. They were that way if they were in the lineup. They were that way if they weren't in the lineup. They were that way if they were chasing foul balls or if they were just supporting in any role that they could. So the team itself just showed appreciation for the coaches, players, and then, kind of looking forward to getting back to work.
And we will talk more about those seniors that you'll be losing a little bit later in the show. Tell us, now that you've had some time to reflect back on the season, are there any specific memories of this team that will likely stay with you into the future?
Yeah, I mean, there's several things. Each group has its own characteristics. We knew coming into this season, anytime you lose really 95% of the pitching staff, you're gonna have some things to figure out as you go into the next season. So, most of the innings that we got this year from the guys were from sophomores. Brock was really the only returning pitcher that we had that had significant innings from the year before, but he's also our starting catcher. Mm-hmm. So by the time we got 2/3 of the way through the season, he kind of became a closer type, because he's so valuable behind the plate. So it's hard to pull him from back there. So, one thing is I see the progress happening with the pitching, and it needs to keep happening for us to be able to take the next step next year. But I thought that we gained some really important experiences for a very, very youthful pitching staff. And then I thought that the character of the team really showed through because, the team was streaky. We'd go through 4 wins and then we'd hit 3 losses and, we'd win 3 and lose 3 and we kind of went back and forth with that. Mm-hmm. And as you're finding your pitching and as you're getting experiences with a group that really did not have any outside of those guys, those 3 guys in the middle, I thought that the team really stayed together well, and the support and the vibe of the team was really good, even through the ups and downs of the season. So, that's not always that way. You'll have teams. I've had teams in the past that win 17 or 18 games, and they're great kids, but they're not real close outside of the locker room, I guess. These guys, it appeared that they were pretty close everywhere. And the seniors, we probably had at any given time two seniors on the field, sometimes three. And they were right there with leadership on the team with any of the rest of the guys. So, that was great to see. And a lot of that comes down to just their selflessness and their willingness to want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. So really, I would say the character of the team was one thing that was the most pleasant to see, because you just don't know how that's going to go sometimes when you have an older group that maybe they're not playing as much as they might want to.
Thanks, Spike. When we come back, we'll visit with a Tiger player, but first, this word from Reliable Heating and Cooling.
There was a time when 10 miles to the gallon was acceptable. Today's 40-plus mile-per-gallon cars weren't even in the rearview mirror back then. Of course, this Lennox air conditioner wasn't on the radar either. It's solar-ready, the quietest, most energy-efficient air conditioner you can own. It's time to live in the now.
Call Reliable Heating and Cooling for the most advanced technology in heating and air conditioning. When you're ready to live in the now, call Reliable Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, air is life. Make it perfect.
Thanks, Reliable Heating and Cooling, and welcome back to the Spike Ridgley Show. The Tiger player joining us this week is senior shortstop Gavin Marceric. Gavin, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Gavin, I know you were extremely disappointed with the tournament loss last week, but now you've had some time to reflect back on the season. What are some of the things you'll remember the most about your senior year on this team?
I'll just remember the relationships I've built over the past 4 years, the time with the guys, the 3-hour-long practices, the games at the Duck, everything.
Speaking of the guys, who are some of the guys that you expect to stay in touch with as you move on to the next phase of your life?
I hope to stay in touch with most of them. A lot of my really good friends have played with them for a long time now, and look forward to keeping in touch with a lot of guys.
Tell us again where you're headed to continue your education and your baseball career.
I'm going to Tiffin University, and I'm excited. Get moved in August. Really just stuck when I went and visited, and I'm really excited.
What will you be studying, and what were some of the reasons why Tiffin?
I'll be studying, my major is integrated in digital marketing, and I chose Tiffin. It's a small town. Really, downtown reminded me of Massillon. I really like the facilities, really meant a lot, and I like the coach, Coach Wilkins. I'm really excited to go down there, go up there, and continue my careers.
And finally, what advice would you give to your underclassmen teammates as they look forward to next season?
I would say the thing I told a lot of them is just to cherish it. The 4 years playing high school baseball, it's something you only get to do one time, and that's something I hope everyone knows, and they cherish it to the fullest.
Sounds good. Thank you. Congrats on your graduation, and we will look forward to following your baseball career at the next level.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Coach Ridgley will rejoin the program after we take this time out.
Hello, and welcome to the Stark County Humane Society. Today we're going to give you a few pointers when considering adopting a new furry friend. All animals here at the Stark County Humane Society are spayed, neutered, microchipped, vaccinated, dewormed, and if old enough, heartworm tested for our canine friends. Adopters will receive a free exam within 2 weeks of adoption at local veterinarian hospitals. We encourage all adopters to take full advantage of this. A one-time adoption fee is required for your new furry friend. When you adopt, you get an awesome adoption packet that includes treats for your new fur baby and savings for you. But this is not where the cost of adoption stops. Did you know the average cost of an animal like a new puppy or kitten can cost up to $500 annually? This includes annual veterinarian visits, preventative care, and everyday supplies like crate, litter, food, toys. But I hope this doesn't scare you away. Adopting an animal is a huge responsibility and a commitment. Please take the time to consider the cost of adopting a new pet into your family today. I hope to see you soon at the Stark County Humane Society. Please visit our website or visit us on social media for more information.
Welcome back to the Spike Ridgley Show. Coach, we just spoke with senior shortstop Gavin Marceric. You spoke very highly of him when he appeared on the show earlier in the season. What are some of the things you'll miss most about having Gavin around?
Just having him around. I mean, I think that's a big thing. You know, I haven't had to worry about shortstop for really 3.5 years. So just great kid, quiet kid, goes about his work each day. You never had to worry about, you know, his grades. You never had to worry about his behavior at school. You never had to worry about if he was going to come ready to play. You know, obviously I coached with his dad, and he don't know this, but we mostly never talked about him. You know, and you know, this is no disrespect at all to Coach Marceric. The outside world probably doesn't know this, but I'm the one that decides the lineup. And you know, I think Coach would have it that way since that's his son. But Gavin's been going in the lineup every day for, you know, 3.5 years, and he's earned that, and independent of anything else. And for me, it's just going to be, I'll miss having that sort of, you know, never have to worry about the guy being ready every day, because he's just done a tremendous job over the last 3.5 years, and now we have somebody's going to have some big shoes to fill when we go into next year.
Well, besides Gavin, it's always tough to say goodbye to your seniors. Tell us a little something about each one of those guys as they do depart.
Yeah, Nate Watkins, fantastic kid, played a lot of outfield for us this year, but he was the same guy whether he was in the lineup or not. I think I learned on senior day that Nate was voted most mysterious by his classmates. I might have to ask him about that a little bit more, see what that's all about. But awesome kid, man, phenomenal work ethic, and we'll really miss him. The next guy is Vinny Keller. Vinny, really proud of Vinny. Vinny, you know, he's an outfielder. He didn't play a whole lot in the outfield, but really embraced the role as our runner. He was always the first guy out to run. I trusted him to do that, and he was always looking for ways to get better. He would stand right next to me in the dugout, and we would talk during games. And you know, a story that maybe some people don't know is, you know, he kind of fell into that role because he always had his helmet on, and he was always standing right next to me, just trying to make sure that he was in the right place for the opportunity. And I began to trust him pretty quick, and I really appreciated his attitude over the time that he was here. Grady Spagocci is the next one. Grady's kind of that guy standing right next to me with Vinny. You know, because we were allowed to run for the pitcher and the catcher, so Grady would pop in there for whoever. Vinny would always go first, you know, if it was the pitcher or the catcher that got on base, and then Grady would go for whoever the other one was. The next guy that got on, it would be Grady. But Grady, you know, Grady was a guy too that was just such a positive attitude all the time. I mean, he pitched a few innings just because we really needed it. You know, and I know a lot of people, you know, sometimes the outside world doesn't understand the substitutions that might happen sometimes, so I'll help clarify that a little bit. So when you get into games and you're playing 6 games in a week, you know, the plan might not go how you think it is going to go. So a guy might be out there and he's kind of wearing it for the team a little bit because we got 5 more games this week.
Right.
And Grady was a guy that just stepped up and said, "Coach, you know, I'll do it. You know, I'll do it." And we put him in there a few times, and you know, he'd go out there, and a few times it would go really good, and then other times he would just kind of stay out there and get it done until it was done. So really appreciated that about him. And all these guys come from great families. I mean, it's obvious when you see how the way they behave in the dugout. So, but he's another guy that we'll miss for sure. Hunter Manson, what a great kid he is. I mean, he would help the team any way he could. A lot of times he was chasing foul balls, grabbing them, positive attitude, come back, "Hey coach, how can I help?" You know, doing a clipboard, doing a chart. He ran a few times here and there. I know he was battling his way back a little bit from a couple things, but you never saw his attitude change. And it goes back to the character of the senior class. So great kid. Hunter did a really good job for us in his role. And then you had Ryan Page. Ryan Page was an outfielder that played most of the time, but the times that, again, showed character. We took him out a few times to try a few different things. He was the first guy on the bench cheering for the teammates. And we had a lot of really good teammates. And Ryan, you know, Ryan kind of signifies the turning of the guard a little bit. I've been blessed to have a lot of these parents around for a long time, and I had his brother here, and he's at Walsh now. Ryan's going to join him at Walsh. So so next year's going to be kind of the first time that we don't see a few of these parents, and it's going to be a little strange because they've been such a big part of it. So Ryan did a great job for us as well. We talked about Gavin. Gavin's a three-year starter. Started some as a freshman and helped us out, and he's looking forward to moving on to Tiffin next year, as a lot of these guys are playing college sports next year. And then we go to Evan Sergo. And Sergo is another guy that was kind of battling his way back from the fall. And he went out there and he pitched for us and gave us everything he could on the days that he could. Got a few at-bats for us, and just a positive kid. And then, the outside world doesn't know this, but, our trainer goes away for, I think, a week and a half or 2 weeks out of the country. And, Evan's in SIF's class, and he's learning all about being a trainer. And, gosh, Evan was helping get guys ready for the game, taping them up and doing that kind of thing while Lee was gone. So, I think the overall thing that you miss about this group of seniors is just the positive attitude and selflessness and their willingness and wanting to be great teammates. I mean, those guys are all welcome back, man, anytime. And I hope that at some point they call for reference too, because I'll certainly give it to them. Very good.
What does the off season look like for your remaining players, and how involved are you and your coaches permitted to be?
Yeah, so one thing that we'll get going this summer is we'll bring guys in and hit. We're careful about how much throwing, because a lot of them are going to be playing 4, 5, 6 games a week. So my plan right now is to call a lot of these guys in and hit throughout the summer, and then I try to get out and watch them play as much as possible, because we can talk to them then. The model is kind of going away from back when I was in school with the whole team was together. A lot of the guys play the travel ball and they do that sort of thing. And for me, as long as they're playing, I think that's what's important. So we got a few guys that we got to help get placed yet, and we'll do that. But for the most part, they're playing games all summer long. And then when we get back into school, we start our fall throwing program. So we'll do a 6-week throwing program along with weights. And then, we get into the winter part from there, and then we get right back into our weights, agilities, and we get into the small groups, and it's the throwing off the mound, all that good stuff. And it's good. I mean, we spend a lot of time in the off season teaching the culture. And then I think that, in the last several years, we've really seen that culture shine when we get into the season portion of things, with the way that the kids are there for one another, treat each other, and the bonds and the selflessness that we end up seeing there. So yeah, we've got a program that we've been running. We always add a little bit to it each year, and the kids have done a great job of just kind of embracing it. And then we're supported very well by our principal and administration, because they'll let us go and watch a couple of these colleges work out in the fall, and we'll pick up a few things and bring back and use them. And they send us off to the clinic in the wintertime to do the same thing. So really lucky. There's no better place to work, and really excited to be a part of it for the long haul, and continue to expand and improve the program. And we got work to do, but we're excited about the nucleus of guys we got coming back, because we're going to have a crew coming back this year that has a lot of experience because of the learning times and playing time this year.
And I always ask this question each year, looking ahead to 2025, how far along is the schedule, and how similar or different will it be compared to this past season?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities, because there's teams that we'll play a couple times, almost like a league. We'll get a lot of the teams that when they're on their bye weeks, because our goal is we want to see their pitching, because it helps prepare us for that better pitching that you see as you get towards the end of the year. But a lot of it will be the same. It's just the opposite site sometimes. And then, I usually get started on that here as soon as the state tournament's over. With us being independent, most guys don't start it until like July, mid-July, late July. Some guys don't even start it until they get into the fall. But for us, I'll get going on it. I'll be completely finished with it by the end of July, just to ensure that we have all those games filled with us being an independent, so that we're not losing games to teams that are in leagues as far as dates.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for your time this season.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And you know what, Dave? I want to say something to you. I appreciate the last 9 years. For those of you that don't know, Dave is retiring. Just a Massillon guy through and through. We appreciate you, and it won't be the same without you, man. I really enjoyed the time.
Thank you for the kind words. As we wrap up this final edition of the Spike Ridgley Show for this season, we'd like to thank Spike Ridgley and senior shortstop Gavin Marceric for joining us, and thanks again to our season-long sponsor, Reliable Heating and Cooling. I'm your host, Dave Sheets. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Tigers.